It's Tuesday, August 15. In the headlines, PATH payments will be late this month. In business news, JSE introduces a DMA platform to allow Canadian stocks to be traded locally. Regionally, in Trinidad and Tobago, Tobago People's Party launched. On the international scene, former U.S. President Donald Trump indicted in Georgia over 2020 election meddling. And in sports, Caribbean Premier League to start this week. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Beneficiaries of the Program of Advancement Through Health and Education, PATH, will not be receiving their payments on time this month. In a statement from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, Portfolio Minister Pernell Charles Jr. said the team is aware of the concerns of families to take care of their children's education expenses for the new school year. He says, quote, "Your next PATH beneficiary payment will be made beginning August 21. Families will receive between $3,800 and $5,600 for each child who is registered in a government educational institution from grades 1 to 13, end quote. Minister Charles also states that an additional payment of $3,500 will be made for each child registered in a government school to assist with back-to-school expenses. He is reminding parents that students who register to resit CSEC or CAPE subjects, sit CAPE subjects, register for skills training or certificates, diplomas or associate degrees can qualify to receive a post-secondary grant of up to $30,000. He also says, quote, PATH students who are pursuing bachelor's degree can receive tertiary bursaries of $100,000 per year for up to 4 years of study, provided that they maintain a grade point average of at least 2.5 and meet other requirements stipulated by the institution, end quote. Persons can visit the Ministry of Labour and Social Security's website at mlss.gov.jm for more information or call 876-922-8007. That's 876-922-8007. They can also visit one of the parish offices located island-wide. Approximately 4,500 new housing solutions are coming on stream for Westmoreland, including the recently commissioned Sheffield Palms housing development in Retreat. Prime Minister Andrew Holness shared the information during the groundbreaking ceremony for that development.
And this will include Shrewsbury Phase 1, 32 housing solutions. I think we had completed those or almost completed those already. We have Savannah Park, 41 housing solutions. Those are under construction. We have Shrewsbury Phase 2, 27 housing solutions, and those will start next year. We have Orlands, 520 housing solutions. Those will start next year. We have Paradise, 2,453 housing solutions, and that's projected to start next year. We have Negril Spot, 1,040.
Prime Minister Holness noted that 3,000 housing solutions have already been successfully constructed in the parish. He says the Shrewsbury Phases 1, 2 and 4 are being built under the National Housing Trust's Guaranteed Purchase Program.
Under this program, developers conceptualize, execute, and maintain and complete the development. The NHT gives a guarantee that once the units are built to the agreed standards, that they will be purchased. So what this does is takes away the market risk. In other words, the risk of building and having no one to purchase.
The Prime Minister notes that even with guaranteed purchase, some challenges can occur.
I don't have to worry about interest rate costs piling up and maintaining the project for a long time whilst we await sale. So it's a very good project, and we are encouraging more developers to come on board, take advantage of the project. Of course, there are risks, there are challenges, because sometimes developers come on board and say, yes, we can build, sign on to an agreement, and then change their mind afterwards and don't want to fulfill the agreement.
The Rambo Bridge in St. Thomas will be closed to vehicular traffic to facilitate the replacement of the wooden bridge deck. The National Works Agency is advising that the closure of the section of the roadway, which is most frequently used by persons heading from Ramble to Cedar Valley, will be for 6 weeks, from Wednesday, August 16 to Thursday, September 28. More than 100 Problem Management Plus providers have been trained to deliver support to persons coping with adversity. A mental wellness intervention of the Ministry of Health and Wellness with support from the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO. PM Plus is aimed at meeting people where they are in communities to help them resolve problems and preserve wellness. It is particularly useful in communities that do not have mental health specialists. Areas of training include basic helping skills, stress management techniques, and signs and symptoms of common mental health disorders. In this week's Living Healthy, we focus on mental health in athletes, a rather apt theme with the championships happening around the world. Sport is critical for all-round health, both physical and mental. Mental health promotion is a key component of the sport for health. Sport and physical activity provide major benefits for mental health, from exercise to teamwork and camaraderie, that are essential elements of many sports.
I think the beginning was very confusing because you don't know what it is or where it's coming from.
In my body and in my head, I couldn't escape it. It was this overwhelming fatigue that I could never shake off.
It's hurting you, you cannot sleep. It's exhausting.
For years, I didn't know what it was. People asked me, how does it feel to be in your head?
When I describe my anxiety, and it's different for everyone, for me it's a massive tightening of the chest, like my whole upper body just gets constricted, like it's hard to breathe.
Having ADHD, I'd say it's like everything and nothing coming to your head all at once. It's like voices just screaming for my attention constantly.
Everyone has difficult moments, even professional athletes. I always get hateful comments in the internet. It was affecting me sleeping sometimes because every time you go to bed, you check your phone.
So depression for me felt like this negative energy that was really heavy inside of me, but also emptied me at the same time. I felt numb.
I was feeling suffocated, almost like I was drowning. You spend a lot of time blaming yourself.
I felt heavy, weighed down, and I just wanted it out of my body. I wanted it gone. I just knew I had to put my hand up and reach for help.
The effects of playing sports, it's such a freeing experience.
The moment I step into the rings, the one time my mind slows down and I have clarity.
Every time I finish practice, I feel more happy.
Just what exercise does for my well-being, not only physically, but more mentally.
Calms my mind and helps me to live the life that I want to live.
Free in the mind from the stress that I have outside the court.
By talking to professionals, by tracking my own thoughts, and listening to myself a little bit more.
I tell myself that I will never doubt myself again and nothing is impossible for me.
Time now for the business report with Danita Rodney.
Under the newly introduced Direct Market Access portal by the Jamaica Stock Exchange, local investors can trade shares issued on the Canadian markets using select local brokers. Interested parties may be able to trade in available Canadian stocks through brokers, QMX Wealth Management, and Barita Investments, eliminating the need to set up an account at a Canadian brokerage house. The JSE says plans are in place to expand the platform to other exchanges abroad and will eventually allow overseas investors in those territories to buy shares listed on the Jamaican market through the DMA. Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Monday, August 14, the US dollar sold for an average of $155.51. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $115.59. The pound sterling traded for $196.71, and the euro sold for $173.39. In JSE trading, the JSE index advanced by over 1,017 points. The junior market index declined by over 62 points. The combined market index advanced by over 377 points. And the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by over 822 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 111 stocks, of which 34 advanced, 57 declined, and 20 traded firm. Stocks advanced for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Variable Preference, Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited, and Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited. Trading firm were Caribbean Cream Limited, Epley Caribbean Property Fund Limited SCC, and First Rock Real Estate Investments Limited USD. The overall volume leaders were Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with over 3 million units, One-on-One Educational Services Limited, and Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 2 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, zero securities traded. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Goddard Enterprises Limited was the sole security trading 5,000 shares. In regional business, the Caribbean Development Bank has approved a $750,000 grant to support the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency in coordinating emergency assistance. The move comes as climate-related hazards continue to impact the region and will allow borrowing member countries to prepare for and respond more effectively to situations of that nature. In international business, Wall Street's main indexes closed higher as shares of chip maker Nvidia surged following a bullish note from Morgan Stanley, leading gains in other mega-cap growth stocks.
The Dow gained fractionally, while the S&P 500 added more than 0.5%, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq climbed more than 1%. Nvidia's 7% advance, which followed a bullish note from Morgan Stanley, gave a lift to the Information Technology Index, making it the top performer of 11 S&P 500 sector indexes. Other mega-cap growth stocks, including Alphabet and Amazon, also posted gains, as did chipmaker Micron Technology, which jumped 6%. NVIDIA, one of several tech companies rallying this year on optimism about artificial intelligence, is due to report quarterly results next week. And while big tech has powered the market for much of the year, Timothy Chubb, Chief Investment Officer at Gerard, says it's not necessarily due to these companies' fundamentals.
Unfortunately, most of the growth in the S&P 500 has really come from multiple expansion as opposed to actually coming from earnings growth. And so, while we saw some really strong or better than expected, I should say, corporate earnings for the second quarter, we really saw, price reaction be fairly muted, even for some of the companies that had some nice top line beats.
Tesla bucked the session's upward trend, falling after the electric automaker said it had cut prices in China for some Model Y versions. In other movers, PayPal holdings rose nearly 3% after the company named a top executive at tax preparation software firm Intuit as its new chief executive officer. And shares of Hawaiian Electric Industries plunged almost 34% as scrutiny mounted over whether the utility company's equipment played any role in deadly wildfires that scorched the coastal Maui town of Lahaina.
In market data for oil prices edged lower on sluggish Chinese economic figures, coupled with fears that Beijing's unexpected cut in key policy rates was not substantial enough to rejuvenate the country's sputtering post-pandemic recovery. Brent crude futures dipped 73 cents to $85.48 per barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude slipped 91 cents to $81.60 a barrel. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news from Trinidad and Tobago. After serving as independents for the past 8 months, members of the Tobago House of Assembly are now under a new political party, the Tobago People's Party, TPP. On Sunday, supporters painted the town blue as they lined the streets for the launch of the newest political entity in Tobago.
Blue is the color and the anchor is their symbol. On Sunday, supporters rocked to the Tobago People's Party anthem as they supported the Farley Augustine-led team. Interim political leader Farley Augustine said out of chaos, the greatest promises are birthed. He shared their symbol has deep meaning and was suggested by an elderly Gustavo resident.
The anchor is a symbol of stability even in the face of chaos. The anchor is a symbol of strength because you can't get no weak anchor. I ain't no weak anchor. And the kind of buoy and then we are accustomed to strong does hold boat in any kind of rough sea. Even in spring tide, the hole in the boat done good. The anchor is also a symbol that we are settled on where we should be.
Mr. Augustine added the hands above the anchor demonstrate the team is guided by God. And regarding their color of choice, the TPP's interim leader said a t-shirt given to him by his deceased grandfather was the motivation.
You will see the color is very reminiscent of the color we are adorning right now. Same color. And this was Robinson's start of the campaign against the PNM. But when you look at the back, the message is even more chilling. The message at the back says, side by side, not one behind the other. And if we are to keep the country that is called Trinidad and Tobago, it must be side by side and not one behind the other.
Among the plans the party has for Tobago, to strengthen the fight for Tobago's autonomy.
Robinson had to leave a party for us to get the first THA. Robinson and them had to join up with another party in a coalition to get Act 40 of 1996. And if we had to leave one to form a new one so that Tobago finally gets the autonomy it deserves based on our inherent right, then so be it. Welcome aboard. Let us go get our autonomy.
The party's internal elections to institute an executive will soon take place. Carissa Douglas, TTT News.
In Barbados, the government is getting ready to launch its 1,000 Families program designed to help the island's most vulnerable. People Empowerment Minister Kirk Humphrey provided the latest update on the venture.
We've already started identifying the families. Most of the families we took from the welfare list anyway. So the poorest of the poor on the welfare list, we've taken some from the Ministry of Health. I've asked them for additional names so that, because some people who really need help don't go to welfare because they just don't want to be treated that way, or the way they believe they would have been treated. Although you think welfare is making some changes. So we've pulled together now a list, and that we're about to roll out the 1,000 Family program, where these families will get access to additional education, additional health care, books and so on when they need it, access to housing, so that we are trying to move a whole family out of poverty. Nobody knows, and for me this is so important, nobody knows what you're going for. So if you go to welfare now, people assume you're going to get money to pay a bill or something, but welfare does other things. You get counseling at welfare, you get access to the courts for other reasons through welfare. But the amalgamation allows us to bring these agencies together, and then you can be in your community. We're going to do these satellite offices. You come in, you go in, nobody knows what you want. But it could be a case where the officer comes, if there's a person with a disability in there, they no longer just look at that, they have now to look at the children.
In Guyana, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation's Diaspora Unit on Monday held a follow-up multi-stakeholders meeting on Guyana's labor needs, during which a number of recommendations, including incentivizing workers and a review of the existing immigration policies, were pitched as possible remedies to the issue.
Guyana is short of about 100,000 or more persons in the skilled and semi-skilled workforce, and as they seek to bridge the gap, the authorities are exploring how they can involve the global diaspora and tap into what is already available in the country. But to do this, there is a need for a more efficient response from the global diaspora and possibly a review of the existing immigration policies, specifically as it relates to granting work permits. This, along with the establishment of a national labor committee and incentivizing of persons, can help to address the major issue which has impact on the pace and quality of development of the country. These were among the recommendations made at the follow-up monthly stakeholders meeting, which was held at the Arthur Chung Conference Center, Leylandau. In his remarks, Foreign Secretary Robert Withard said the accelerated pace of the country and the current trajectory can be stymied with the lack of human resources.
And we have to be, in many regards, innovative, and rather not take the traditional approach that we've had in terms of addressing human resources of our country. And one of which is that how it is that we can tap our global diaspora. How much foreign input do we want to have in our human resources bank? And how much more can we do in terms of ensuring that Guyanese, and when I say Guyanese, not only those domiciled in Guyana, but Guyanese in the global diaspora, that they too are given the opportunity.
Posada also said another option which can be explored is the issue of migration. Coming out of the discussion, Executive Chairman of Action Invest Caribbean Incorporated, Vishnu Durga, said survey has revealed that Guyanese do not want to return to the country for various reasons, including security. Additionally, to attract the labor needed to drive the economy forward, Durga also suggested that there is a consideration of the immigration policy, especially as it relates to work permits. Instead of waiting for weeks for a work permit, he said a digital system should be considered where this can be done within days or hours. Another approach, he said, could be incentivizing employment.
Guyana is now listed as a high-income country. The cost of living keeps increasing. So if we can also make it attractive for people to actually work and retain their money, locals and foreigners to get employed here in Guyana.
Reporting for the newsroom, Sharda Bacchus.
In international news, prosecutors in the U.S. state of Georgia have indicted former President Donald Trump and others on charges that they conspired to overturn President Biden's victory in that state. Al Jazeera's John Hendron has that story.
For the fourth time, a grand jury has indicted former President Donald Trump for alleged crimes against the country he governed.
Thank you.
Leading this series of indictments against Trump and others, racketeering, a charge that usually targets organized crime rings, in this case for an alleged conspiracy to steal the state's presidential election.
The indictment alleges that rather than abide by Georgia's legal process for election challenges, the defendants engaged in a criminal racketeering enterprise to overturn Georgia's presidential election result.
Also indicted, 18 others, including former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, Trump lawyer Rudolph Giuliani, former Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark, and former aide John Eastman. The alleged conspiracy included a series of phone calls in which Trump pressured Georgia officials to overturn Joe Biden's presidential election victory in the state, including this notorious call to Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger.
I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
That alleged conspiracy also included false accusations and harassment of election workers, including Ruby Freeman, who said she had to go into hiding after Trump fans invaded her grandmother's home to make what they called a citizen's arrest. It also contained false allegations of ballot fraud.
And this was an election that we won easily. We won it by a lot.
The alleged plot also contained a fake electors scheme in which Trump-backed electors tried to form a false slate of electors who sought to flip the state of Georgia for Trump after his loss. And it involved an extraordinary data breach in rural Coffee County, where Trump partisans were called in to scan votes in a fruitless search for massive fraud.
Georgia was just one of several states Trump would have needed to win the 2020 election. But Georgia was a special case. It tended to lean Republican, and he lost by a small margin, a margin he asked Georgia state Republicans to make up to overturn his loss there.
The Trump campaign issued a lengthy statement stating in part, they could have brought this 2.5 years ago, and they chose to do this for election interference reasons in the middle of President Trump's successful campaign. The indictment is the fourth in as many months. Trump faces state charges in New York for a hush money payment to silence a porn star ahead of the 2016 election, and 2 federal indictments, in Florida for mishandling classified documents, and in Washington for his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Unlike the federal charges, if proved, the Georgia state charges cannot be pardoned by the next president. John Hendren, Al Jazeera, Atlanta.
In sports, Caribbean Premier League organizers say they plan to collaborate with national stakeholders in several territories to ensure that young fans see 10 a.m. games in this year's tournament free of cost. The media release on Monday said there would be a ticket giveaway to thousands of young people in order to have them attend the early matches in St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana in the tournament, which gets underway in St. Lucia on Wednesday. The league said it would be working with government agencies, schools, cricket clubs, youth organizations, and foundations to ensure availability of tickets to the young fans. And that's it for the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thanks for watching.